Hey, it's the Big JB. It's Friday. Thank goodness it's Friday. My gosh. What a week it's been. But I am glad for Friday. Every time I say it like that, I remember it was a Saturday Night Live. It was hosted by Tom Hanks, I think. And he did an intro like this. Is back, I think, back in the 80s. It was pretty hilarious. And he had a phrase that was just like that, where he talks about how cliche it is for everybody to come out and host, and oh, what a week it's been and stuff, and then he ends up using it. I should see if I can find it, and put a link to it in the comments down below. So if it appears, you'll know that I found it. Another yawn. Excuse me. I'm about to get on the phone with my brother here, so I told him I'd be calling in the next 10 minutes. So I better do that as I finish up, as I start and finish up this video. I want to talk for a minute about supporting your friends and how to support people that you know and even people that you don't know. If you open your Bibles to Job, page, chapter, whatever. Obviously, you don't really have to do that, but the book of Job, everybody, I don't know that everybody knows, but a lot of people understand the phrase like Job's suffering, or, like the book of Job or whatever. The book of Job is basically the story of a man who believed in God and had faith in God, and the devil comes to God and says, yeah, he believes in you now because look at all the things that you've done for him, look at all the blessing that he has on his life, but what happens if you take away those things? And so there's a process of basically God saying, I know my servant Job, and he will never turn his back on me, no matter what happens. And so he basically allows the enemy to take away everything in his life, because he's confident in Job's faith, and Job never loses faith in God. Even Job's wife comes to him and says, look at all the things that you're suffering. Why don't you just curse God and die? Why don't you just give up, knowing that you might as well just give up on God and life and just die? And Job says, no way, I'm not going to do that. And then he has a bunch, friends that come around him and who basically believe that Job has done something wrong, and he's done something to deserve all of this crap that's happened to him. And Job's like, no, I know that I haven't. And Job's perspective is skewed. Job feels that the Lord is just punishing him, and the Lord is cruel, and that the Lord should answer him for the things that are going on. But a lot of the chapters are the kind of the back and forth between Job and his friends. And Job's friends are lousy friends, because rather than coming with him and sitting in lament with him, for the things that he's lost and everything else, they're basically trying to convince him that the things that you're going through are because you've done something wrong. And, surely you're, all the answers, and you're more righteous than we are, and yet here you are suffering. Because that's been after, quite some conversation with them. And finally, toward the latter chapters of Job, I want to say it's like chapter 38, God shows up and basically says, okay, Job, you've spoken, now it's my turn. And he unfolds all of these things that he's done. And there's some really beautiful imagery in there where the Lord's talking about putting the stars in the heavens, and telling the sorry, my brother just texted me, telling the oceans where their limits are and that kind of stuff. Just some really beautiful stuff. But Job's friends, in terms of being able to give advice or comfort, are really lousy about that. And I think one of the worst things that you can do when somebody's having a hard time is offer platitudes like, hey, everything's going to work out okay. And that may be true, but to the person who's going through it, it's such an awful thing to say. And I admit that I have done that with people in the past, and I try not to do it. I try to encourage them to say, look, I know that you've been through tough things, and even being able to say, hey, remember when you went through this, and remember how much you took away from it. You know, surely there's a purpose in what's happening now, and it's just not mindless punishment or mindless pain. I try really hard to be not to be one of Job's friends. Some of the things that Job's friends said were true to Job, and some of the ways that they were describing God were true, but not all of it was true. And so it's I think we have to be careful when we're encouraging our friends and when we're talking to our friends or being a support to somebody who's going through things, understanding that people do suffer. It is true, and that life isn't easy. That's also true. But I think that you have to be careful with how you present that, and you know, being diplomatic and careful to be a support. Because a lot of times when people are going through things, they don't necessarily need advice. They might be asking you for it, and that's one thing. But sometimes they just need to know that there are people who are with them, who identify with the fact that they're going through a hard time, that have been through hard times themselves, and are just there to listen and to offer their support and their love and encouragement and everything else. So that's my encouragement. Don't be one of Job's friends. Even if you're not a believer, reading through the book of Job is it could be good. You might enjoy it. So check it out. You can look at it. You can read it through online. Actually, there's a website called blueletterbible.org that I recommend. And if you are not used to reading the Bible, please don't try reading it in the King James. Please read it in something like the NIV, the New International Version, or the New Living Translation. New Living is my current favorite. It's much easier to read than King James. So despite James Earl Jones making it sound amazing, the King James version is very, I think it's very complex to listen to with the these and thys and all those other things. So that's it for me today. Everybody have an awesome weekend. This has been TheBigJB. You can follow me on Twitter at VoiceOfTheBigJB. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing, and I will see everybody on Monday. Bye.